Hello students, hope you're all doing great. I'm F. Merlin Rodrigues and I welcome you back to the part 5 of our unit, Elements of Writing. In our previous classes, we learned the rhetorical modes, narration, description, illustration, argumentation, compare and contrast. Now let's learn the rest of the rhetorical modes. Next one is cause and effect. In your regular interaction with friends and family, you often explain the reasons and effects of certain incidents or developments. When you miss the bus to the college, you have reasons for it, and you know that the effects of the incident, including missing an important class at the first hour or a meeting with a friend. If you value your time and efforts, you are likely to do an analysis of such incident in order to avoid them in future. In your academic writing assignments, you may require to incorporate cause and effect analysis, and depending on your major subject, you may even be asked to produce an essay following cause and effect. A cause is something that produces an event or condition. An effect is what results from an event or condition. Now let's see the structure of a cause and effect essay. The cause and effect essay opens with a general introduction to the topic, which then leads to a thesis that states the main cause, main effect, or various causes and effects of a condition or event. It can be organized into one of the two methods. First one, start with the cause and then talk about the effects, or start with the effect and then talk about the causes. For example, if your essay were on childhood obesity, you would start by talking about the effect of childhood obesity and then discuss the cause, or you would start the same essay by talking about the cause of childhood obesity and then move on to the effect. Regardless of which structure you choose, be sure to explain each element of the essay fully and completely. Certain transitional words and phrases that we can use in a cause and effect essay. We can use as a result, because, hence, thus, consequently, due to, since, therefore. Now let's move on to the next rhetorical mode, definition. A definition is a way of explaining a word or phrase. The word to be defined may refer to an object, an idea, a concept, a type person, a place, or a phenomenon. A definition can be written for a familiar word, a new coinage, abstract concept, or a debatable term. Words sometimes assume a newer dimension with the passage of time. Now let's take a look at the general instructions for writing a definition. Understanding the audience is crucial to write definition. Depending on the very purpose, the tone of your paper needs to be modified. A detached, objective tone is suitable when you are writing an informative definition. You may define a term which is already defined by many people in different ways, or a term you coined yourself. If you are doing the former, you may have to specify which of the well-known definitions you are following. When you are attempting for the latter, you need to be aware that you are creating a new knowledge, and adequate care should be given to make your definition logical and clear. Some background information on the term you are trying to define or redefine will enrich your definition writings. If you are dealing with a term in wide currency in your discipline or across disciplines, it is essential to trace the origin of the terms and its diverse applications. Certain terms may have different uses, definitions in different disciplines, apart from its plain dictionary meaning. For example, the term culture, as used in anthropology and literature, agriculture, medicine, and other subjects, has different meanings. Therefore, you need to specify the disciplinary use for the term. You may even customize a term in use for your subject. Start with analyzing the word to be defined, explaining how it is constituted. For example, if you want to explain post-colonial, mention the word has two parts, post and colonial. Explain the meaning of each part of the word. This can be done for words that are constituted by two or more parts. Give the dictionary meaning of the word wherever possible. Search an etymological dictionary and understand the origins of the word. Incorporate etymological details to your definition. Exemplify or illustrate the meaning wherever possible. So children, remember, while you define a word, you have to keep these points in mind. Now let's move on to the next rhetorical mode, process analysis. You are familiar with the writing style followed in cookbooks, instructional manuals, self-help books, and user guides. All these works try to explain processes. A process analysis can be used for explaining how something happens or works, or how to do something. The former is called informational process analysis, and the latter as directional process analysis. The main objective of a process analysis essay or paragraph is to explain the steps involved in doing something or the sequence in the functioning of something. An informational process analysis is usually written in an objective style using third-person perspective, whereas a directional process analysis communicates directly to the reader in the second person. Some examples of directional process analysis: user manual for gadgets, cookbook, textbook, handbook, etc. And some examples of informational process analysis: how volcanoes erupt, or how a computer works, or how oil is refined, how bees make honey, etc. Now let's take a look at the transition phrases or words that you can use in a process analysis essay. We can use first, second, third, as we are going to give steps related to the process, or next, then, following this, finally, after, afterwards, after this, thus, subsequently, simultaneously, and concurrently. Now let's move on to the last rhetorical mode, classification and division. Of creating better understanding of a subject by identifying the categories to which it belongs. For example, the UG courses offered by your college are classified as BA, BSc, and BCom, and each of these categories are divided based on the major subject. Example, BA Sociology or BA History, BSc Chemistry or Physics, etc. The general purpose of classification and division is to break broad subjects into smaller parts. In academic writing, a classification analyzes people, things, or ideas, categorizing them into groups and classes. Now let's take a look at the structure of classification essay. First, the introduction. We can generally begin the essay with an extended definition of the topic and a description of classification system. Identify what you will be classifying, explain the classification system you will use, and third one, list the categories you have selected and explain why this classification system is important to the readers. In the body paragraph, you can include an explanation of the category, how the topic fits into the category, and what makes this categorization meaningful. In the final paragraph, you can start with a restatement of the thesis, broadening to discuss the meaning of the findings, then making a more general statement that relates back to the introduction opening. Classification essays can be quite useful in clarifying concepts and revealing a subject's deeper meaning if the paper is well constructed. So that's all with the classification and division. In this unit, you have learned the different rhetorical modes: narration, description, illustration, argumentation, compare and contrast, cause and effect, process analysis, definition, classification, and division. We have come to the end of the Unit 4 Elements of Writing. Hope you understood the chapter. Thank you, children.